Hi there, and welcome back to another episode, Station Road. Now today we're going to look at the area around the station, which includes the platforms, the street, and of course where that pub and also the demolished basement building construction site is. And of course that is all going to be raised up to a new level. So as part of this new scratch-built station, which of course is based on Laura and Gill station, one of the other components in this entire series is to raise the level of the ground where the street is so that it matches up or is at the same level as the platforms. And of course this includes also the pub and the demolished building area on the other side of the street. So I did actually mention it a couple of episodes back about what my plans are for this area. So in today's episode, that's what we're going to look at. So once again, I'm going to be putting in an apology for some of the sound quality in this video. Now, nothing wrong with the camera this time, but as I started filming in the garage with the tin roof, the rain absolutely started tipping it down. So it just got louder and louder. Now, I think the audio is passable because I do have my lapel mic, but nonetheless, you can definitely hear the rain on the roof in the background. So without further ado, let's just get into what I got up to. So this is the area in question, which of course I did touch on in some previous episodes in this series about raising this entire area here to the same level as the platform. So that essentially means it's going to be more like what the real station is like, where traffic and people and so forth walk up to the station at the same level as the platform, and this of course is on the street or roadside of the station. So some may recall, and for those who are new to the channel, what used to be here was a Metcalfe station. Now this is it here. So this is the station that occupied the space in here, and it was basically raised up to the platform level and the street level was lowered down. So you can see here there used to be some steps that ran up to this entrance here. There were more steps that ran up to here, but the street level was here, and of course everything was all raised up in terms of the platform and the station building. So this is a cardboard kit for those who have joined the channel or have come over from the old station renovation, not familiar with this side of things when it comes to model railways. This is a kit produced by Metcalfe, and it's all basically cardboard, and they certainly do the job, and they look the part. They look quite good. I've scratch built or custom built this platform. It's not a Metcalfe platform, so it's all basically made out of MDF, and of course it's got loads of wiring in there because there's a whole lot of stuff in here in terms of internal lighting and of course platform lamps and so forth. So yeah, that's what used to be there. So what we're going to deal with today, as I mentioned, is looking at how we're going to raise this whole area up. Now, one of the good things is, and of course you can see in the background here, we've got a bit of a pavement, a street scene. We've got a pub here. This is another Metcalfe kit, of course, which I've modified a little bit. We've got lamp posts and all sorts of stuff here, and fortunately this is all one unit, so we can actually lift this unit completely out of here. But the benefit here of course is that I can raise this up to the correct height, so we don't need to destroy this or lose all of the modelling in here. So that would be raised up to possibly about here somewhere. So we'll just take that whole thing out, and it is one unit, and you can see here, you know, we've got a demolished building, basement area, some people in there trying to flog off with a few bricks while no one's watching. And of course we've got our pub here and a bit of a garden area out there, or garden bar and things like that. So the great thing is I can save this, so we'll put that aside. And it started bucketing down with rain outside, and of course I'm in the garage with a tin roof, so hopefully the sound quality is not going to be affected by that. You may hear the rain. So here you can see a big hole in the baseboard where this component slots in here, and of course because of that basement dugout of the old demolished building, this is actually sits down below the level of the baseboard. So the road in here, and I think this is on another layer of card, we've got pavement on another layer. So the idea here really is I've got to strip this all back. The whole lot's got to be stripped back to basically this level of the baseboard, because what I've done is jumped on the computer and I've worked out what the height of the platform will be, which of course is going to determine what the ground level is going to be within this area. So just having a look at that now, I've done a little bit of research, and as far as I can see, the common height for a platform from the top of the rail is 915 millimeters, or approximately around about 3 foot. Now I'm not entirely sure whether the Barry Railway stuck to those measurements, but having a look at some photographs when the track was still in place and the platforms are clearly visible, it does seem to appear that that is about right. Now the interesting thing about the Barry Railway platforms, or at least at this railway station, is the fascias of the platform edges don't appear, well, they could be brick, but they seem a lot larger than normal bricks, and I kind of almost feel like it's some kind of possibly stonework, possibly, rather than brickwork, or it's a larger brick. Now if anyone knows more about that, it would be great if you wanted to pop your comments in the comments section. Just let me know. But it doesn't appear to be standard brick dimensions, because the courses are actually quite deep, and the course height actually changes, so I've accounted for that in these drawings. And what I've done is worked out the height that this ground level needs to be based on the materials I'm going to be using. So we've got 3mm MDF, we've got some 1.4mm caseboard, which of course is going to be the actual platform deck. And unlike the actual station in question, the interesting thing about that platform is it's not paved. Now in my situation on this layout, I'm going to have it paved, so it will be paving slabs that are laid down on the platform. For the model that I'm going to do for Laura and Gil, I will do that as the original station was, with this sort of fine gravel or grit or whatever it is that's on there. I'm wondering whether it's ground limestone or something like that. But then the actual platform edges are either stone or concrete slabs on the edges, and then of course you've also got that concrete slab in front of the station building. So with that drawing, I've worked out the height that I need to raise this up is 15 millimeters, basically, approximately 15.1, but I'm just going to make it 15 millimeters, and that is to the street level. So that's the ground or land level around the platform, and then of course there'll be the platform stonework or deck on top of that, which is another 1.4mm, and that will also factor in things like curbing and pavements around the other side of the station. So based on that, what I'm doing is going to lay over a whole new level here, which I'll use possibly 3 or 5mm MDF. Now people ask, oh, why are you using MDF at Vorts? It's going to go all funny. Here, well, unfortunately, I picked the wrong day to say that where I am located in New Zealand, we have a very dry climate. It's not a humid climate, so things like MDF don't really warp. Here's me saying when it's absolutely bucketing it down outside, and you can probably hardly hear me talking now. So yeah, 3 or 5mm MDF laid through here, and it will be raised up whatever the difference is with the material that I'm going to use. So if I do decide on 5mm MDF, which I think might be better because it's a bit firmer, then I'm going to need 10mm of some kind of spacer or battens or something underneath here to lift this whole level up. So I think we'll just straight away jump into it. I'll move all this stuff off, and we're going to start peeling up and ripping up all this road and everything, because I really do need to get this down to this level here and flatten it off. Now when it comes to this bridge that's running through here, and of course it's on an angle coming down to this level, I'm going to save this bridge. I'm not going to try and I'm not going to rip it completely out. I think I can modify it so the bridge is actually going to have a much shallower drop because it's going to be higher up, and then I'm going to redo these parapets on either side so that they're of the same alignment as whatever the incline of this bridge will be. Right, so let's just get into a little bit of destruction. Right, so that's got all the layers of road and pavement stripped off, and it was a bit more of a job than I thought. I'd actually done a very good job and glued it down extremely well. So what I'm actually doing now is I'm just actually marking out a template. So I had the cardboard platform in here, and I've traced along that edge. That gives me an indication there. I've also traced out where this hole is, where the pub and construction site sits in, and marked out this area here and of course along here. So this is a general sort of template to cut out the new layer of MDF and batten work that's going to sit on top. Now what I've decided to do is I'm going to stick with the 3mm MDF, because since there's going to be battens under here, there might be a batten running through here, there'll be one sort of setback and running through here, and maybe some cross battens as well, but I think that will be really enough to sort of make it quite rigid. And the idea is, originally I was sort of thinking, is the station going to be a lift out section and then maybe this is a lift out, but what I'm actually thinking of doing is this whole area is going to be a lift out section. So the beauty of that, and I've said this quite a few times before in previous episodes, is having lift out sections on your layout means that you can lift it out, you can work on it, you can do the scenery, you can do whatever you want off the layout somewhere else and then simply place it. And the other beauty too is if you ever move house or anything like that, then your layout really becomes like a series of components that you can simply take off and simplify for a moving process. Another benefit is that I can do all the wiring underneath, so internal lighting for the station and all of that kind of thing. It just makes it a lot easier. So what I've done is just recycled a bit of Christmas paper, so that has worked out quite well for the size of this area, just to mark out all of these areas. And I'm going to transpose this to some MDF and then start cutting out the shape that I need for this area. So we'll get onto that, and I'll come back when I've cut out the basic shape for the MDF and tweaked any areas that might need adjustment. Right, so I've now cut out the shapes from the 3mm MDF for raising up all of this ground level, and as you can see, we've got our cutout section where the pub and the construction site slots in, and now we just have an entire area now which can be assembled using some 12 by 12mm batten here, and of course our 3mm MDF, which gives us that 15mm height that I was after. Now I didn't have a piece of this 3mm MDF big enough to do this all in one piece, Murphy's Law as always, so there is actually a section down here, but the main thing is I really wanted the entire length of the station platform to be one piece. Now down here in this corner here, it's just in view. That's a bit of the old platform. I'm just holding that there for now because it actually gives me some alignment. This is not going to stay. I think the platform is either going to continue on or it will slope down to the ground at this point here. So what I'm going to do is, because this is in two sections, I kind of just have to, I've taped this together temporarily here. What I'm going to do is attach one of these battens and get it anchored down here, and then once I've got that, and with this tape over here, I can take it over to another area and I can actually start working out where the other battens are going to go. So we're just going to fix this down now. Right, so that's the battens in place, and they've been anchored in with a bit of PVA glue and also some small nails to essentially basically hold the battens in place while the glue sets. And the position and placement of these battens, it's very random. There's no scientific reason behind where they're positioned. It's just sort of to get a reasonable amount of even space to keep that rigidity of the whole piece, and of course obviously around some of the edges as well. So some of these battens are in from the edge. I haven't placed them on the edge because here we have some lamp posts that poke through from the pub and demolished building component. I haven't placed this batten right on the edge here because it's actually a bit uneven around here, so I thought I'd just avoid that so that the batten actually rests on the flat part of the baseboard here. So it's pretty rigid and quite firm, and it's ideal now for having it as a lift out section that can be just lifted up, and it's reasonably lightweight as well, so that there's not a huge amount of weight in it. So with that in place, and it tucks up nicely actually against this edge here, so that's just by coincidence that it actually lines up with the bottom layer of that retaining wall there. And the road that goes up over this bridge, I can now determine what height I need to elevate this road to, or the angle, so it's going to be a much more shallow angle on this bridge. So we can now slot in our existing bit of pub and semi-demolished building or demolished building work site, and as you can see, those slots is where these posts go. So there's a lamp post there, we've got a crossing post, and then there's another lamp post down there, so I had to factor those in. So what I'm going to do is this piece here is going to be permanently anchored to this section, so essentially this whole piece can just lift out, and it'll have this on it. It's going to have the station on it, so if we grab our station mock-up and just place that in there, and I'm actually thinking I might move the station rather than it being down there, because it actually widens out here a little bit. It's actually narrower here because the street and the platform aren't actually parallel, so I could have it down there. It just means that the street's going to be narrower, or I might actually bring it further down this end, and what I'm planning on doing is actually chopping this off, and this is actually a street coming in here, so this is the corner of a street here, and getting rid of this sort of extended bit of paving here. And I'm not sure whether you can see that, you probably can't, so it's that bit there of actually cutting that off and curving that around there and having the station here. Now, one of the interesting things, and this was actually quite a number of you commented on the position of these canopy posts being so close to the edge of the platform, and you're absolutely right. These in my situation on this layout, these canopy posts are too close, so of course this is being mocked up based on what Laura and Gill Station would have looked like, and this is, I guess in a way, this is a mock-up of what their model will be, because these posts will be where the posts actually were, but then of course their station was set back. It was set back here somewhere, which of course I can't do, so there's no street left if I do that, so I need to move my station much closer to the edge of the platform. And of course the canopy is going to sort of actually line up with the coaches that run past here. So in order for this to be a little bit more kind of true to form, I will be moving these canopy posts in a little bit. So they're not, I'm not going to centralize them, but I will be moving them in a bit to maybe at least 10 mil further in from the edge to sort of give the impression that it's a little bit more plausible in terms of coaches coming into the platform. And of course you've got the doors that swing open and so forth, and you certainly wouldn't be having coach doors actually hitting the canopy columns. So It's interesting though, in the sense I did actually have a hunt around and did a little bit of research, and there are a few stations around that I've found photos of where the canopy posts are really close to the edge of the platform, and I don't know why they've got away with that, but they do exist. There are canopy posts that are very close to the platform edge, so that's definitely going to be sorted. But this mock-up is the representation of Law and Gill's model. So factoring in these canopy posts are going to be stepped back further from the edge of the platform, and of course with this 1.4mm case board placed that represents the true edge of the platform. So this case board will actually be the platform layer, and of course this is going to be laser engraved with the platform stone slabs and edging and so forth. So I've just placed the station on top of that, and that gives that true representation, and of course that allows for the fascia of the platform down at the track level to be stepped out, and also have the brick texture and so forth that's going to be placed on it. And of course looking around at the street side to the station, of course the caseboard is representing the edge of the pavement, and it's not an overly wide pavement, but I think it's suitable enough, and of course that then provides an indication of how wide the road is going to be as it travels along past the pub. So I've yet to make a decision about this end of the platform, but I'm thinking it will be sloping down to the ground, and there'll be some form of barrow crossing that goes across to the island platform. And of course down at the other end of the platform, that will also slope down towards the ground as some form of ramp. And the other area that I've yet to work out, of course, is some form of slope leading down to the factory forecourt, because I don't want to raise this factory area up, because of course there's sidings on the other side that line up with some small goods platforms, so there's going to have to be some sort of sloping down access way into this cobblestone area. And in the same area, of course, as I mentioned, we've got this overhead bridge to sort out and realign the bridge to a more gradual slope so that it meets up with the new road level. And then finally we've also got the overhead bridge as well that needs to be worked out. Now this is actually one of the Hornby overhead bridges which I've modified. I've cut it shorter and so forth. I may use this because it's not unlike the overhead bridge that used to be at the station. It's similar, not exactly the same, but I might just recycle this bridge for the purposes of this. But I am going to put it roughly in a similar position as to where the overhead bridge used to be, so it will be around about in this position here. So there we have it for the new raised ground level, and I think it's certainly worked out very well. So with this whole section now being a detachable or modular component to the layout, I can lift it on and off as I do scenic materials, road construction, and all of that kind of stuff. So I think the other important aspect, of course, is now that I've got this in place, then I can really start to sort of map out how the station building is actually going to be placed, and the amount of room for, say, the street, the footpaths, and of course the platform. So where do you think the station should be placed? Do you think it should be where I've positioned it, or do you think it might be better further up the other end where the old station used to be? So I think the next steps will be to create another mock-up just of the canopy itself, so not the entire station. I want to be able to sort of work out the position of the columns or post supports for the canopy based on my layout, so they obviously need to be set back a little bit further as I discussed. So there'll be that mock-up, and then also actually looking at some of the other area around the station as well, the platforms and so forth, and actually just sort of mapping out roughly where everything's going to go in terms of pavements, car parks, all of that kind of stuff. So I'll leave it there for today's episode. I certainly hope you've gained some inspiration, ideas for your own layouts, maybe some lift out sections for your layout that you can plonk on your kitchen table and work on the cold winter nights. So I'll sign off for now. Do take care, look after yourselves. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.